This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gas and Cement, the nation builder. It's also brought to you by Belacqua Mineral Water. Joy News can tonight confirm that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has begun the process towards a major tariff increase review, for both electricity and water. Already, we understand all the utility companies, including the ECG, Gridco, and the water company, have been notified to submit their proposals, making demands on what percentage increases they may prefer. The PULC is indicating that this is a major review and does not necessarily mean an automatic increase in the tariffs. We'll explore that very shortly. The last time there was a major tariff review was in 2019 with an 11% increase in utility tariffs. Well, today we're hearing from civil society, including the Africa Center for Energy Policy, and they're warning that this major tariff review year will see a massive jump in the cost of what you pay for electricity and water. You're going to be hearing their reasoning shortly, but I want you to listen to Bawa Munkaila, who is the PR and head of external relations for the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, confirming where they are in the process of this major tariff review.
As you may know, the PRC has two main tariff regimes, a major tariff review and the automatic adjustment formula. The automatic adjustment formula is done every quarter, that's every 3 months in a year, just to adjust the various parameters. But the major tariff review comes where we have to go through a whole process of reviewing the tariff. And actually, it's true that 2021 is a major tariff review period. And actually, as we speak right now, the Commission has started the process of a major tariff review for the next 4 to 5 years.
This process that you've begun, what exactly is it?
Okay, a major tariff review entails a whole lot of steps in arriving at a decision by the Commission. First of all, we have what we call the pre-filing tariff notification. And this pre-filing tariff notification is sending a notification to the utility providers that it's a major tariff review year and they need to file for tariff review. And they now come with the filing.
In other words, you are asking them to come forward with their proposed tariff.
With their proposal, exactly. And in filing the proposal, the Commission gives the utility providers a template showing what necessary information that they need to file for consideration for a tariff review. So that is what is done there at the pre-filing stage. So when we are done with the pre-filing, then the utility providers file their proposals to the Commission for a review. It is recommended or it is mandatory that when the utility file their proposal, they publish same on their websites, telling the general public that they have filed a proposal and these are the detailed parameters inside the proposals that they have filed. And we, the Commission, also take the proposal. Then we do what we call preliminary review on the proposal.
So as we speak right now, where in the process are you?
Currently, we are at the pre-filing stage.
So you've already written to the utilities?
Currently, we've held consultations with the utility as to the content of the templates that they will be using for their filing.
How long has it been since our last major review?
The last major review was done in 2019.
It has been 3 years?
Yes, it's been 2 years.
Realistic to expect that this review might end up in an upward review?
Currently, we don't even have a proposal on the desk of PURC yet. So, and without data, you cannot rule an answer out.
When do you hope that the process will be done for the final decision to be made in terms of the review?
It has just started, and currently, as you may be aware, the process has started, and I told you we'll publish him on the website. And as and when the next stage comes, would announce him to the general public.
By July, maybe?
I can't tell, but I know it will go beyond July. That I can assure you.
So the process has started, and this is a major tariff review. It's not the automatic adjustments that goes up in bits and drips. This one, if it goes up significantly. Remember, the last one was around 11%. We're hearing from the Africa Center for Energy Policy. The executive director there, Benjamin Boache, says we can expect a massive increase in the cost of electricity and water for you, the consumer.
We can't continue to have government managing the power sector.
So what should we do?
It's being managed. We need private capital injection.
The PDS failed woefully.
It failed because politicians made it fail.
Okay.
It didn't fail on its own. It was a structure that we set up, to independently run, and then it was hijacked into the failure that we saw. So, and we're told that there was a replacement coming within the time frame to ensure that we could get the investment that was required. We don't know when that investment is going to come.
Finance Minister last week said they are still working on it. It's still work in progress.
It's been a statement after statement. Sure. It's been in all the budgets that we are coming with an alternative. It is never coming, all right? But it is a critical moment because if we don't fix it now, you're going to be called upon to pay, all right? If we had fixed it before PDS and all the saga, we wouldn't be asked to pay 20 pesos today on a liter of petrol, right? We allowed the problem to grow and fester, and you're being called upon to come and pay. And because we do not see an end in sight, and because we don't see the solutions coming, you're going to be called upon to pay.
So you expect utility prices to go up? I mean, electricity prices?
No, but there is no debate about that. This is a major tariff review year.
Okay.
So PURC, and I can imagine the difficult situation they may be in at this point, where the grid is not stable, and yet you have to review the tariff. So it's going to be a very tough decision for PURC to take.
I mean, in back of all the budget taxes, I'm saying that
this year is a major.
It's a guarantee that we are going to see.
Guarantee that tariff will go up significantly. If it doesn't go up, then government has to raise the money, and I didn't see that in the budget.
Yeah.
You have to raise money to support the power sector. So it's a very worrying situation, and that is why we need to improve.
This is clearly a crisis.
I mean, if you track the trips across the country, we are headed to a crisis situation, and I'm happy that they are arranging to come up with a timetable that allows people to plan.
Well, Kojopoku is energy analyst, and Bawa Munkaila speaks for the PULC. Both gentlemen join me right now on Top Story. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story.
Ivan, are you talking to me?
Yes, Kojo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm great. Mr. Munkaila, can you hear me?
Yes, Evans.
Great that you could join me on Top Story. Mr. Poku, let me start with you. So the PLC just confirming what Benjamin Boache said on PM Express yesterday, that in fact we can expect a major tariff review this year. The process has already begun. What factors, what are the variables? What variables will they be looking at?
Well, the variables that most likely PULC would be looking at would be the dollar to the cedi. If the cedi has depreciated significantly against the dollar as per the last major review, they would also be looking at the losses. In the tariffs that me and you pay, the technical and commercial losses incurred by both transmission and distribution is factored into the pricing that we get. Then also there would be the issue of the cross-subsidy. Now, government will be asked to do a presentation to PULC. ECG will be asked to do a presentation. ECG will most likely go to ask for an increase in their distribution charge, which is the amount that goes to them. PULC would have to look at the cost of gas, has there been a reduction in the cost of gas, which is used by the IPPs in the calculation of the pricing that they charge the government? All these factors will be looked at. If you remember, in 2017, when a such review was done, at that time, the minister made us understand that they have been able to negotiate a much.
I mean, there was a reduction then, remember?
Say it again.
In 2017, there was a reduction.
Yes, there was a reduction in 2017 March, yes. And then one of the instances that the minister gave was that they have been able to negotiate the price of gas down, and that has helped. And also with, at that time, one of the things that was said was that with car power being moved from Tema to Takrade was also going to reduce the cost in terms of the HFO calculations and stuff like that. Then in 2019, there was an increase. But in 2019, the increase that was supposed to come, I think government further negotiated with the ENI and the Jubilee partners to make sure that the gas price was further reduced, and that now helped in a very much smaller increment instead of a reduction.
And that was the 11% increase we saw.
Increase, yes. And in the beginning, people were saying that there were going to be something around 20-something%. But in the end, with the mitigation that government did, the reduction was 11%. So those things are looked at. And like I said earlier, your gas and your fuel costs, has there been any change? Then the dollar to the cedi is also a major factor. Then the commercial and technical losses are also a factor. Those are the things that are looked at. Then the cross-subsidy. For me, I think that there is going to be an increase in tariffs this year.
In other words, if you look at those variables you've just laid out for us, you agree with Benjamin Boakye that we should expect an increase?
Oh, yes, there is going to be an increase. I mean, for me, I've been one of the few people that has been advocating for fair pricing of electricity, because without fair price of electricity, you can introduce mechanisms like the cash waterfall, but it doesn't collect much because nobody is paying the right amount. It's a bit unfortunate when, as a Ghanaian who also pay electricity, I talk like that. People are like, but why are you being insensitive? The true nature is that me and you are government. Okay? If we don't pay much and we expect government to make up the shortfall, it is we that are going to make up the shortfall one way or the other. So the better we bite the bullet and basically pay realistic prices, the better, so that everybody can find their level.
I mean, the key question is, Benjamin Boakye talks about a massive increase. The last time there was a major tariff review in 2019 was 11% jump. What percentage will be realistic this year?
Well, I definitely don't know. I can't. I mean, when my brother who spoke earlier mentioned, I don't think the process has even started. You know, ECG and other companies will go to the table. Gridco and all these companies will go to the table with how much increase they expect. When some of these submissions are made, that is when some of us will be able to get an idea of what is being asked for. Then we can do the realistic calculations and say that, look, worst case scenario, we should expect this kind of increase or decrease.
20% maybe?
I can't tell, my brother.
We should just keep it at 11%.
It's not fair to ourselves to start putting numbers around when we might not be anywhere near that number. Because if Kojo Poku says that percentage, then the next headline in the papers tomorrow will be that energy expert Kojo Poku says this amount of increase in electricity, and people will start using that as headlines, which I don't think is fair to us, when realistically we can wait and see what the increase will be.
Let me bring in Bawa Munkaila, who confirmed that the process, in fact, had begun with talks with the utilities, and they're expecting their proposals to hit the table. Mr. Munkaila, definitely there will be public consultation. So the members of the public, consumers who are listening to us tonight, who may be wondering, they can have a direct input in the process of arriving at a new tariff.
Yeah, there will surely be public consultations, and that will call the public hearing. And like I mentioned to you earlier, one of the processes is after receiving the proposals from the utility company, then we publish it on our website, and the utility companies also publish. We don't stop there. We also request for proposals from key stakeholders. For example, like the government, the energy think tanks, and whatever sector that has direct bearing with the energy value chain, then we ask for proposals from them. So when we get all those proposals, we take all the inputs into consideration. Then we have the public hearing where we invite comments from the general public. We sometimes even bring the utility providers to make a presentation to the key holders and the general public for their comments and views. So we take all that into consideration before we come up with a final tariff.
I mean, what it means is that, Mr. Kojopoku, yourselves and the other friends in the civil society groups will be consulted, and you probably will also have to make your own proposals, correct?
Well, I don't think in terms of the review, civil society will be seen as stakeholders. You know, the PULC board is made up of TUC members and other independent members. So I don't think in terms of PULC mandate to review tariffs, civil society is consulted in terms of because we don't have any input to PULC to consider. I don't know if somebody might want to petition or write something to that effect, but what PULC deals with is basically the facts and figures and the proposals on their table, and I don't think where civil society fits in that review. So in the last two reviews, I don't think any civil society was consulted.
And by the way,
Evans,
yes, yes, Munkala, go on.
I just want to make a few corrections. The commission, even though we have the various stakeholder representatives in the board, but still, when we have a major tariff review, we still write to those institutions like the AGI, the other consumer representations on the board. We still write to them as a body, requesting for their side of the story, if they have any. And apart from that, we also publicize on the newspapers, saying to the general public that the commission has started a review process, and any other person who has something to, maybe an input or a comment about the tariff review, can submit to the PULC. We've been doing that during our major tariff review processes.
But Mr. Kojopoku, let me ask you this. I mean, you've talked about it's time for us to pay realistic tariffs. What does that even mean? What does that look like, realistic tariffs?
Well, Evans, it looks like this evening you are trying to push me to give you.
No, you use the word realistic. Figures. I'm just trying to imagine what that is.
No, look, there is a problem. The problem is that when we collect all that we have to collect, we don't get enough to pay the bills. So, in simple terms, this is what it means. When 1,000 Ghana cedis worth of electricity is put on the line, there's about 26% of that goes towards technical and commercial losses. So from day one, the realistic recuperation, or how much you can recoup, is about 26% less of 1,000 Ghana cedis. Okay? Now, we need to be able to get to the point where Gridco, ECG, and all the value chain companies are making profits. Now, we can't keep running these companies as social entities where at the end of the day they make losses and government has to find money to put it in there. So we are basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, because if ECG make losses, Gridco makes losses. The only person in the value chain is a private company, and that private company doesn't make a loss because he would require 100% recovery of his cost of producing electricity. Okay, so government through Ministry of Finance have to now find the excess money to pay the indebtedness. Bottom line, it is we who are still paying. So whether we pay it through electricity tariffs, we will either end up paying it through ESLA, or we end up paying it through one form of tax or the other. So my point is that it's better we do a proper, and the current minister in his vetting said that he wants to unbundle the tariffs and look at the various components and see how best it can serve the purpose, because the people at the top of the value chain, the generators complain they don't have enough. Meanwhile, electricity in Ghana seems to be one of the most expensive in the sub-region. So why is that? So we need to look at all these things, okay? So I cannot give you a figure, but all we know is that there is a shortfall in what is collected, and we can't continue like that.
Well, I mean, and that brings me to the next point to you, Boa Munkaila, who speaks for the PULC. It's about the challenges that the utilities are facing. I mean, Gridco, for example, is in the news a lot recently because of the many power trips. Consumers have been complaining about erratic power supply. PULC is on record to have said that, listen, they are financially challenged. The Auditor General has exposed the extent of the rot when it comes to the financial indebtedness to Gridco. The key question then remains: their upgrades. So they say they should finish by mid-year. They say they are now engaging ECG to drop a timetable to regulate the process with erratic power supply and rationing. Has the PULC been informed of this, and what's the PULC's own understanding of what is going to happen?
Thank you once again. From the angle of PULC, currently as we speak, we've not had any information from Gridco as to the preparation of a load shedding timetable. Because to the best of the knowledge of the Commission, we are not into load shedding. And if they have any major maintenance that they need to do, as in maybe Gridco, then we as a Commission recommend that they inform the consumers far ahead of time for them to prepare that there's going to be outage in the area or whatever period that the outage would cover. But as to the coming out with a load shedding timetable, the Commission currently, as we speak, we don't have information about a substantive timetable being drawn on load shedding.
But what's the PULC saying about the erratic nature of the supply? Saturday.
With the erratic power supply, you remember we issued a statement a few weeks ago saying that the Commission is investigating the matter. And currently, the Commission has set a panel. Our former hearing processes requires that we set a panel and call the utility company to answer. If we are not satisfied with the written explanation that they forward to the Commission, we have to set a panel and call them to answer so that we'll be able to know the whatever goes into the outages. So, and as a result of COVID, we're not able to have that frequent face-to-face meeting. However, the process is still ongoing via virtual meetings and all that. So we are still in the process of coming out with the reasons why and whatever regulatory action that needs to be taken by the Commission would have to do that.
So when do you hope to finish for us to hear a definite outcome from PULC?
Like I mentioned, the COVID has really derailed the processes.
But you say you're holding virtual meetings.
Virtual.
I mean, yeah.
So in the next few weeks, we should be able to come up with the findings and we would announce to the general public.
Isn't this long overdue, unduly delayed? I mean, this has been going on for so long, and we're still talking about a few weeks to finish the process of looking into what's happening to consumers.
I want to use your medium to maybe tell the general public is that the role of PULC is a collaborative regulatory role. As much as we intend or our duty is to protect the interest of the consumer, we equally protect the interest of the utility provider. So when it happens like that, we need to give them fair hearing. We need to really listen.
Yeah, but it's been a few weeks now, isn't it? It's just taking too long.
Like I told you, COVID has been.
Yeah, but you said COVID, but you proposed a solution which is virtual. So the virtual, you can hold meetings on Zoom and all those things in a day or two.
But some of these things need physical appearance, need physical visits to sites and substations to verify certain things for yourself as a Commission. So if all these things are not done, we can't come out with a report that doesn't capture the detailed story of what is happening.
But you can tell consumers when you hope to finish for them to hear definitely from you?
Currently, as we speak, we are hoping within a week or two, we should be able to come out with our findings, and we would announce to the general public the next action to take by the Commission.
Kojopoku, very briefly, the major tariff review, some have said, is an opportunity to fix, at least begin to address the financial challenges facing the power sector, in particular Gridco. You agree?
Oh, yes. It's a chance to fix the problem facing the entire value chain, not only Gridco. If, like I said earlier, we can't treat these government institutions as social entities where they just work and make losses and we Ghanaians have to find money to support them. There should be a way that they can make profit so that, look, if that money is even put back in upgrading infrastructure, and all that, we will not be in the situation we have today where lights are going off because of lack of repairs and lack of upgrades.
I'm grateful that you joined us with your thoughts on this. Bar Munkaila, who speaks for the PRLC, and Kojopoku, who is an energy analyst. You've heard it there, PRLC confirming that have already begun the process. They are waiting now the utilities to submit their proposals. That's where they are. They've now had conversations around the template that the utilities will use in submitting their proposals. But one thing is certain. This is a major tariff review year. Civil society say you can definitely expect an increase in what you pay for electricity and water. The question is how much is what we have to wait to see. You heard the PRC indicate that definitely after July you may hear a definite word on that. Well, the minority side have been reacting to this. The minority spokesperson on mines and energy, he's also the ranking on that committee in Parliament, John Jinapo, who is also the former deputy energy minister, says the current need to increase the utility tariffs and to address the challenges in the power sector is due to political influence and the current government's interference in reducing tariffs in the first place in 2017 when they first won power. Listen to.
It means that the losses increased by 267% in 1 year. Political influence, that's what I attribute it to. Because you make the claim that you are a sensitive government, you are reducing tariffs, the people are happy. Now, 2 years, 3 years down the lane, you're having a erratic supply of power. People's refrigerators, air conditioners, and all kinds of gadgets are getting spoiled. So the little they would have saved on that, they are spending more today.
Are you advocating for an increase in tariffs?
I am not. I'm saying that let there be transparency.
Well, that's John Jinapo there. He is the ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. And on Newsnight in a few minutes, Minority in Parliament is serving notice. It will kick against the constitution of a joint committee to probe election-related violence following counter motion filed by 4 majority MPs of the House. We'll hear from some MPs and speak live with the majority chief whip, all here on Joy 99.7 FM on Newsnight in 2 minutes.
I swear I did what? I forgot my boss say in client come, but I don't get credit on my phone. I beg, I go use your phone. I'm laughing like killer. In this day and age, your excuse for not making that call is that you don't have credit.